Hi, everybody. My name is Abby Lai. Thank you so much for checking out what we're up to. Today, we are going to be talking to science instructor Mary Anne Cheraz. She's got another experiment for us today, but as homeschoolers and even just people that are now schooling from home, it is nice to just talk to other instructors and people that have been in this space for a while, pick their brain. Oftentimes mid-year, you're kind of tired from fall and need some fresh ideas and want to start over with a new year. So Mary Anne, thanks for being here. And I am just excited to see what you're going to be up to today.
Hi, Abby. Thanks for having me today. I really appreciate the opportunity. Today, we're going to talk about connections in science. So I recognize as a science teacher that many students don't automatically have a love for science, and many parents don't always have a love for science. So then the two of you may be left to try and figure out how to make science work in your household. So today we're going to talk through a science experiment. I'm going to give you some tips and pointers as we work, and then Abby will ask some questions and we'll talk about the classes that we're going to be offering this year. So today's science experiment, and I'm going to move things around just a little bit, has to do with chemical reactions, okay? So we're going to talk about endothermic and exothermic reactions today, which are really fun. Exo means...
Thank you so much for doing all this, because I got to say, I'm one of those moms. Science is interesting, but I don't have enough background knowledge to explain the details. So it's really nice to be able to connect with people that know and love this kind of stuff. And it's kind of cool that you've got a bunch of classes starting this spring that you can even enroll.
Well, and hopefully, as we talk through it, parents and students become more interested in science. It's actually very fun. So I'll give you lots of information as we go through, and hopefully some of that will pique somebody's interest, okay? So exothermic and endothermic reactions. Exo means outside, so energy is being released. Endo means inside, so energy is being absorbed, okay? So as I pull things up, I'll talk you through them. Basically, atoms in nature combine in compounds with chemical bonds. So in the making and breaking of chemical bonds, you can release or add or absorb energy in the process. This happens constantly in nature. I'm going to show you two examples when it would happen. These are really common items that you can find in your house, and if you don't have them, they're easy to get from the local grocery store, okay? So today we're going to be using water, hydrogen peroxide, Alka-Seltzer, and yeast. Just a quick item about hydrogen peroxide. We talked about this a little bit in last week's experiment. So then each week I progressively give them a little bit more information. But hydrogen peroxide is actually found naturally in nature. It's found inside your body. It's also found in the sky. It drops out of the sky with rain and snow, like a very small portion of it. Water in the sky mixes with the ozone layer. And so in the process, hydrogen peroxide is formed, and a little bit of it drops on you in the rain or the snow, which is interesting. It's also in your hair follicles. So it kind of breaks down the oil, the excess oil inside your body. So those are interesting things that can get a kid interested. Like, hey, I want to look that up. I want to find out more about it. And so we're going to move forward from there. I have another portion here, another tray that I'll pull out. Okay, so here, and I hope you can see this. I'm going to put it down this way. Here I have my two containers. You can use different containers, smaller containers. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Glass is fun because you can see it, but you can use plastic for sure. You can also use styrofoam, but you just can't see styrofoam. And this container, I have water. And this one, I'm going to put hydrogen peroxide. This is a thermometer. Okay, so I waited to pour the hydrogen peroxide because it degrades very easily, and I want it to be fresh and ready for our experiment. I'm going to be putting 250 mLs inside. Okay. I didn't put my barrier in front today because when I tested it, It didn't go outside of the container, so I think my computer is safe, but you never really want to have your kids doing your experiments in front of the computer because you could ruin it. I have messed up a few keyboards that way. This is a special thermometer. My husband's an electrician, so I have all sorts of fun tools. It has a probe that's long. I can put it inside of any container, and it will measure the thermometer. Now, measure the temperature, sorry. You can use any type of thermometer. They have food thermometers at the store that are really cheap. You can get some in the health section. You don't need to have a fancy one like this, but it's easier for me because I have a tall container. Okay, so my current reading right here is 67 degrees, okay, Fahrenheit. And I want to see what happens if I add Alka-Seltzer to the mix. This experiment is even more fun if you have food coloring. I didn't get any out today. Okay, but as I add Alka-Seltzer to the mix, I can feel and see some changes going on. So the container here is chilling. Okay, it's getting colder as the reaction goes down, and my temperature is dropping. Okay, so the idea of coolness is the absence of heat or energy. So what's happening is energy is being absorbed in this reaction, and so I can actually feel it happening by the coolness of the outside of the container. I can also see it on my thermometer. Right now, so far we've dropped 2 degrees, so I'll keep an eye on that as I'm preparing my next one. The reason why the temperature is dropping is because there are chemical bonds that are being broken. Okay, so this is kind of an oddity, but when chemical bonds are broken, the temperature becomes cooler because the energy is being absorbed into the atoms. It requires more energy for an atom to be loose in the environment because it's unstable. Okay, so the energy is going into the atom that's kind of like holding it in its little space, which is actually less stable than being combined with another atom. Now, so that's endothermic. I went down about 3 degrees, which you can actually feel on the outside of the container. I'm going to remove this. All I'm probably going to get out of that is like 3 degrees. Okay, so now I'm going to move over to this one with my hydrogen peroxide. It is starting at 68. I'm going to add yeast to it, a tablespoon of yeast. You actually have to stir this one a little bit. Okay, so now the yeast is reacting with the hydrogen peroxide. Okay, this one's more fun to watch because it actually does something, but it goes up. Okay, so what's happening here is the yeast is a live creature which actually has enzymes within it. We all have this enzyme that is called catalase, and the catalase reacts with the hydrogen peroxide to release oxygen. If you remember from last week, hydrogen peroxide is H2O2, water is H2O. The only difference is 1 atom of oxygen. When the yeast comes in contact with the hydrogen peroxide, that oxygen gets released, okay? Oddly, the oxygen gets released and combines with each other. So when you have atoms that are combining, you have the making of a bond. So when you make a bond, you release energy. This gets hot, okay, or warm. So far, we've jumped 20 degrees. Okay, so that's a huge difference. This one went down 3 degrees. This one went up 20 degrees. Crazy, right? So yesterday, I was able to get it up 30 degrees. So that's a big difference between one and the other. Why did one drop only 3 degrees? Why did one go up 30 degrees? The difference here is that oxygen, when combined with the oxygen, is double bonded. Okay, so there's 2 bonds, so more energy gets released. So you get a ton of energy coming out of that. Now, I'm going to set this down over here. So that's chemistry. How do I make connections with kids? How do I make them want to learn more about science? Okay, so when a parent looks at that experiment, they're like, gosh, I don't know any of that. I can't teach my kid that. But you can take baby steps, right? So the idea is find out what your child likes and then take it a little further, right? So if they like something, then you go research that item. And then suppose you're trying to get them interested in chemistry, you find out the chemistry of all of it. And then that's how you get them to expand their knowledge, right? So in my own case, I love chemistry. This is like my favorite discipline of science. Originally, I didn't love astronomy. Okay, so the way that I got into astronomy was I figured out there's so much chemistry associated with it. So I was able to move from one discipline of science to another, and now I love astronomy as well. One of the things that really got me hooked is this is how you make further connections. So those made differences of degrees of 3 degrees or 30 degrees. Those are bonds between atoms. But if you go inside the atom and you think about the bonds that actually hold the atom itself together, okay, those bonds contain much more energy. So if we split an atom, we have a nuclear reaction, right? If we fuse an atom with another, we also have a nuclear reaction. That's fission and fusion. So that was really amazing to me to realize, like, wow, I split 2 atoms, I get a few degrees. I split the inside of the atom, I get thousands of degrees. This happens in the sun all the time. You're not splitting, you're fusing hydrogen atoms to become helium atoms. You get thousands of degrees of temperature off of that simple reaction. So to me, that was fascinating. Like, that's the chemistry of astronomy. I love that. So I was able to convert one discipline to another, and now I enjoy them both, right? Did
Mary
you
Anne,
have some questions for me? I think,
you know,
except I can't hear
what
you.
I love is
Can I hear
that,
you? Oh, no.
oh,
There you go.
uh-oh. Can you hear me all right now? All right. One thing that I really love that you're talking about is how, finding what your child, oh no. All right. Well, we'll see if this works or not. But what I love that you're talking about is finding what your child loves and running with it. No matter what it is, taking them a step further, and if they're already interested, going even deeper into that, and connecting it with current events, different experiments, even just taking it to the next level like you just did. That's very, very exciting. What I love as well about your classes is that you are often changing it up, so it's not just here's a whole hour of let's talk about something. You use a lot of different mediums as well too, and I think that's really applicable for a lot of parents as well too, because it's not easy teaching science at home and doing all of these experiments. And what advice would you give to parents as well if they want to tackle science at home?
Well, like we were saying earlier, start with something your child loves. Okay. The other thing that I think parents wrestle with, well, a couple things. One is that they feel like some of the material is beyond them. Like, oh gosh, well, this other person knows all this chemistry and I don't know this. Okay. So it's not hard to learn these things. You just have to be able to research it. But then that makes sense for a parent to actually hook into a class online or eventually in person so that they can have some extra knowledge base there provided by the teacher. But always, I am constantly learning, constantly researching. Like I love learning and I just keep doing it, and I hope to relay that to others. The other problem that sometimes parents have is they don't want the mess of it, right? So you have to gather all these supplies for an experiment. You have to potentially make a mess. Potentially you have to do the experiment more than one time. I had to probably do that like 10 times beforehand to like get it right, just the way I wanted it. So, that can be an issue too. And so that helps to have somebody that can kind of guide you through the process. So now I can tell you what works, what didn't work with my 10 tries that I did. And maybe you decide you never want to do science experiments at home. And so then it's helpful to have somebody that will present them for your child so that they can watch.
And And I definitely love all the different resources we have available to us now, whether it's the internet or science kits or even just the online classes or tutors that are available. And with that, I just want to let everybody know that Mary Anne has an assortment of different classes available, whether it's through her co-op called Pathfinders, through Homeschool Coaches, we have a website called AdLife. It's adlifeedu.com, and you'll find her different classes from astronomy to, what is the other one you're teaching as well this coming spring?
I am teaching explorations in matter through Homeschool Coaches. Of course, I have Pathfinders in Glendora. I teach other classes there, so you can always check that website as well.
And you know, I am not a strong science teacher nor a math teacher, and so that's where I absolutely love being able to find instructors like Mary Anne that have done these experiments many times. She knows what works, what doesn't, and can answer all those questions. When my kids didn't know what was happening and I didn't know either, it was always nice that they can turn to Mary Anne and ask those kind of questions. So, you know, what I'm getting at right now is the fact that there are certain things that I loved doing when I was homeschooling. I loved reading the books with them. I loved the field trips and exploring. Science wasn't my strong thing. You know, there's a lot of ingredients you got to pull together. I love it when the experiments can use your household kitchen supplies and it all works and it's fun, but it can be a lot of work. And so that's where I really appreciate science teachers like Mary Anne. And I've seen her classes and all that she does to prepare and have everything ready to go smoothly. It always goes so well. And part of it, sometimes the experiments don't work, and that is a learning experience in itself. And so in case you're curious, please feel free to check out Mary Anne's classes. She's available for you to email her. We will include her email in the comments below. And if you have any questions, even about today's experiment, science in general, let us know and we'll be happy to help. Mary Anne, anything else you want to add before we say goodbye?
No, that's fantastic. Thank you again for this chance to talk to everybody.
Thank you, Mary Anne. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. We'll see you later.